So we're going to be talking about lettering. And we're talking about drafting lettering, which means that we're going to be drawing letters as individual drawings that are linked in a way that's legible. And so, oh wait, can I not? It's not going to let me advance. There we go. So this is a plate of drafting that I did back in the 90s, back when I was a hand draftsman, like on, professionally. And you can see these note blocks, that there's just tons and tons of note blocks. And you can look at those letters. Do you see how consistent they are? How consistently made? It might be hard for some of you back over there to see how consistently made they are. Here's another plate from a different show. My background's in set design, so I came up being a set designer. We'll talk about that another day, maybe. We don't really have to, but so this is all kind of scenery, but I used to draft for a living. And again, look at this note block. Look at those dimensions, right? They're really consistent. The writing is really consistent. And it's all based on this alphabet. And the key to doing this alphabet well is that every letter is made exactly the same way every single time. So an A is always one stroke and then another. A B is always a vertical stroke followed by a half circle, followed by a half circle. Every letter is made exactly the same way every single time. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a series of alphabet exercises just to practice making the letters. This is not how you make your letters probably. That's okay. You do not have to make your letters this way anywhere else, but in this class, from now on, you always make your letters this way. And what you will find is that as you do this, for this semester, I want you to make them this way. As you do this, you may find you want to make some slight variants. After the semester, you're welcome to customize this however you want. Kevin Swalina and I, when we worked in the Studio of Love, 44th Street in the Film Center building on the 11th floor, we were both draftspeople, a couple of other draftspeople there, and we would, at lunchtime, we'd sit, we'd be drafting 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. All we did was draw. And over lunch, we'd talk about, well, now, should the descender on the J go so far down? Like, when do you drop the T and when don't you? These are the things that we used to spend a lot of time being very exercised about. So this is the alphabet. It's based on 3 basic forms. A dead vertical line. This line is not angled in any way. It is straight vertical. To that end, we're going to use our triangle to actually make vertical lines. There are no circles in this script. They are ovals on a 30-degree angle. And they are half ovals on a 30-degree angle. So half of that oval at the top of a vertical line is a P. Half of that oval and another half of that oval next to a vertical line is a B, right? But that 30-degree, and then the 30-degree also comes into horizontal lines. It gives it a little more stylistic interest, but it also, what this does is it breaks it from the rest of the drafting. Because all the rest of the drafting is going to be straight lines against a ruler. And having that oval and those horizontal lines be at a slight angle makes it clear this is a letter, not a drafting, right? This is a room E instead of those lines being steps or something like that. So they're at a slight angle, 30-degree angle, could be a 20-degree angle. The one exception to that is the Z, which I make like that because you draw at least one Z on every single drawing because it's at the beginning of my name. And I wanted to make it real big, so it's obvious you did it. You do not have to do that. You can have a less flamboyant Z should you so choose. That's the one variance that I'll allow. So look at this, look at how this writing looks. It is, first of all, somebody tell me one thing that you notice right off the bat about this text block. Yeah. The N. The what? The N. The N. Okay, so we're the leading letter we're making bigger. Sure. What else? In terms of structure, what else do you notice? Yeah.
It looks like all the spacing is either 2 lines right next to each other or 1 line down.
Okay. And what else can we see about the lines? What have I put on there in addition to letters? Numbers. What else? I know it looks whatever. They're like, what am I even looking at? Yeah, teacher. Yeah, exactly. I've given myself guidelines all the way down. I'm never going to write words on a drafting that I don't draw guidelines for, even if it's one letter. Section A, right? That A, I'm going to draw guidelines for that A. Every single time we're going to draw, and what weight are the guidelines? Construction weight lines, okay? Also, and so so guidelines are spaced at 1/8 of an inch. I'm not actually, this is, I know you can't see this from over there, but this line and this line actually have an empty line in between them. So we're not writing them right on top of each other. We're writing a line, we're skipping a line, we're writing a line. And then between bullet points, I'm skipping 2 lines. So there's more of a space. Okay, and I'll demo that in a minute. In addition, I've drawn, and again, I know you can't see this way over there, but I've actually drawn a vertical line to be my tab line where I start all of the lines, right? In Microsoft Word, you just set a tab line there, right? Basically, we're putting in an analog version of the tab line. And that, again, is to help readability. All of this, none of this matters if it's not readable. It's got to be readable. There was one show I was working on, and I drew a 5 with the way it copied. It kind of looked like a 3, and the shop built the soft good 23 feet instead of 25 feet. And I had to build a whole new soft good, and that was a $7,000 soft good, right? Because I wasn't clear that it was 25 instead of 23. So that was a $7,000 poorly drawn letter, right? Guess who ate that $7 grand? My studio ate that $7 grand. So these numbers and letters matter because somebody on site might be reading this. And I know, I mean, once you get out of here, you may not do a lot of hand drafting, right? You're not going to go out and be a professional draftsperson and do this by hand, but you might be in an office in which you got to get something to the site really quickly, or you're even on site, and there's a carpenter, Vinny's right here, and he's like, oh, I don't know, what's that supposed to, how does that go in there? What does that attach to even there? And, he had a couple of Bud Tall Boys for lunch, and so he's not really understanding what you're drawing, and you whip out a pencil and you draw this thing for him. He said, okay, come on, Vinny, and he goes and he starts drilling holes in the concrete, right? You've got, in that case, he's not going to sit around and wait for you to draft it and rev it. You got to be able to draw it. You got to be able to do it by hand. It's got to be readable. So these, see, right. And so, okay, so here are the letters. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute just to show the process of getting set up for this, which is that if you should in your kit have a scale ruler. I used to have one like you have, but seems to have wandered off. Mine are not like yours, but they have the same things on them. Get out your scale ruler, and we're not going to talk about how to draw and scale right now. What we are going to look for is the ruler that's actually just inches. That just says, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So take out your ruler, give yourself a very lightweight construction line vertically on the page. And then on your ruler, will it even show this? Maybe it will. On your ruler are actual 16ths of an inch. So this is a 1/2 inch, this is a 1/4, this is an 1/8. It's not really, the webcam doesn't kind of want to do it, does it? And then the very little ones are a 16th. What we want are the 1/8 of an inch. So this is half. I wish it would focus. It will not focus. Well, we all have days that it's hard to focus. This is 1/4, halfway between 1/2 and 0, and 1/8 is halfway between 1/4 and 0. So not the very smallest lines, but the next smallest lines. Everyone got that? Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to very gently make lightweight dots every 1/8 of an inch. And don't bear down really hard. And actually, you can't even see it on camera. And then everywhere I've put those dots, I'm going to draw a construction line. And these should be very, very, very lightweight. Now, if you do this a lot, you get to where you can kind of freehand 1/8" lines without having to measure it, but we're not there yet. We're going to measure them.
Which line did you do first, just like horizontal?
The vertical line first. The vertical line first, and then measure down that vertical line, doing 1/8" lines. And I know you can't see. What you'll notice is you can actually go pretty fast. A, B, C, D, E, F, right? Like once you get used to it, it gets really quick. Each letter should be a consistent width in the sense that, let's see here. If you look at this text block, do you see how, in general, the spacing, I try to keep the spacing really consistent. All right. And obviously more space between words than there are between letters in the same word. And again, this is something that the more you do it, the more used to it you will get. We're really striving for consistency and clarity. That's what matters here.